Today we're going to talk about how to get an A on your first essay for professional growth. Many of the things that I talk about today will also help you get an A on essays in your other classes. The first thing that you should do whenever you get an assignment for an essay is you should read the instructions. Teachers will generally give you a written description of what they are looking for in the essay as well as a marking scheme. The marking scheme that I have given you shows you a detailed outline of what exactly it is I want in the essay and what exactly you're going to be getting marks for. So you should read that and then you should make sure that you follow it. When you're writing your essay, you want to make sure those parts are in there. You also want to make sure that it's well written. A well-written essay is organized so that when the teacher's reading the essay, he or she can find whatever components it is that they're looking for. And it will flow nicely and it'll be an enjoyable read. When you write a good essay, well, you're happier because when the teacher's reading it, they're happier if they can find your marks, and then you get a better mark in the end. And generally, good grades equals happy students. The first part of the essay is going to be the introduction. In the introduction, there's an outline of what's required, and there's three main parts to a good introduction. First of all, you need to have a title. Now, instead of saying essay 1 or thesis essay, come up with something that really captures the essence of what it is that you're talking about in the essay. Then you need to further get the reader's attention by having a really good first sentence. Something that's going to catch the reader's attention, make them want to read more. In the marking scheme, I talk about the significance of the thesis statement. That's where you should start with the significances, right in the first part of the introduction. After you've gotten everybody's attention, well, then you need to have your thesis statement. Your thesis statement should be the last sentence in your paragraph because it then leads into the body of the paper. You'll notice if you read the instructions for this first essay, you also need to include an introduction to the 3 points of discussion that you're going to talk about in each part of the essay. After you've got a nice introduction, the next thing you need to work on is the body of the paragraph. This is where you're going to write about your topic and prove your thesis statement. They also have 3 main parts to them. First, you need a topic sentence. In this essay, your topic sentence is going to be your thesis statement, because, and then something else. So if your thesis statement was desexualizing nursing is the key to solving shortages, well, then you need to give one reason and only one reason why that is, and the rest of your body paragraph is going to be demonstrating that reason. I've asked for at least 2 supporting details for each paragraph. You can have more, that's up to you, but you need to make sure that everything is clearly and logically explained. In essence, you want to make sure that you have quality rather than quantity. At the end of the paragraph, once you think you've proven your point, you don't want to just abruptly end. You want a sentence that ties the entire paragraph together. Something that reminds the reader what the thesis was about and what your conclusion was. This last sentence should lend support both to the body paragraph that you've just written as well as the thesis, since the body paragraph is directly related to the thesis. So you're going to be doing that 3 times, making sure that you're including all the components outlined in the marking scheme. Once you've got the entire body completed, you're going to be writing a conclusion. Conclusions can generally be smaller than the other paragraphs, and there's 2 things you want to make sure you include. You want to make sure that you again remind the reader what it was you were talking about. So find some other way to state your thesis. Generally that should be the first sentence of your conclusion. And then after that, you want to write the conclusion for a reason. So you need to give the reader something to think about, something that makes your essay memorable as well as ties the entire essay together. So you might have your thesis statement with a little tiny summary, and then so what? What's the point of reading this essay? What are we going to do with this information that we have now? After you've written the essay, before you hand the essay in, you should make sure that your teacher's not going to be the first person to read the essay. You want to make sure you read your own essay. You can also get peers or other people to read your essay and give you some feedback. The more feedback, the better. And remember, just because somebody says, oh, I don't like this, doesn't necessarily mean that you should take it out, because it is your essay, but it means that you should probably think about it and consider if it actually makes sense. Sometimes your brain can play funny tricks on you. You can be reading your sentence that you wrote and your brain might fill in the holes, like if there was a word missing, but if you give it to somebody who hasn't read the essay yet, they'll pick those things up. The benefit of giving it to a classmate would be that they're familiar with the assignment expectations, and the benefit of giving it to somebody else outside of nursing is that if you give it to someone outside of nursing who's not familiar with the assignment expectations, they're going to be able to tell you if you've done a good job constructing a logical argument, if you explain things clearly, whereas somebody else in nursing who has the background may miss things, like if you haven't explained why caring is the essence of nursing properly. You are a lot more likely to get a better mark if, when I get the paper, I don't think I'm the first person to have read your paper. And that's how you get an A on your first essay for professional growth.